Okay, so I just wanted to thank everyone so much for taking the time to watch this video about our new adoption program, and also thanks to each and every one of you for everything that you do for RASK and for the animals. My name is Nikki Ford, and I'm the Animal Services Coordinator for RASK. So my job involves everything from adoptions to our offsite locations and offsite events. And I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about the new direction that our adoption program is moving in. So we are embracing an open adoption philosophy called Adopters Welcome, which is being promoted by the Humane Society of the United States. And basically the idea behind this program is to break down barriers to adoption in order to adopt more animals and ultimately save more lives. So and in all the research I've done on this project, I've seen a lot of shelters have great success with this. So I'm really excited to share this with you today. And I want to jump right into a little bit about why we're doing this. So just to give you an idea of our goals, the main reason when it comes down to it, we're doing this for the animals. We want to save more lives. So in order to do that, we hope to increase adoptions and decrease the length of stay, so the amount of time that the animal is here for. We also hope that with this program we can lower our return rate and help promote a more positive image of RASK to the community. So a little bit about our current process. So right now, we are losing some potential adopters with some of our current policies. So things like landlord checks and age restrictions. We also lack formal guidelines on when to say no. And we also realize that we might be losing out on more opportunities to connect with potential adopters. So those are some of the things that we're hoping to overcome with this new program. So just to give you a little bit of information about how the new process will look in our adoptions building. So for cat adoptions, currently adopters come in, they're told look but don't touch. After they see an animal they want to meet with, we make them fill out an application and they have to get approved. So we're going to do away with all of that. Instead, the new process will look a little more welcoming to adopters when they first come in. They'll come in and we'll greet them, we'll briefly explain the process to them. We will allow the customer to walk around on their own and then help them meet any cats they'd like to meet with without filling out the application first. So that's something that we're not going to require anymore. And then once they decide to adopt, that's the point that they would go ahead and fill out our new adoption questionnaire. And then they can complete the paperwork with an ACT. The other big thing that's changing in our cat adoptions building is that we won't be requiring customers to wear gowns and gloves when they meet with the animals. So meet and greet volunteers and customers no longer need to gown and glove up. Of course, if you're cleaning in the morning, we're still going to have all of the same rules for gowns and gloves at that time. And the main thing we want to remind you about is that we do ask you to meet with the kittens first, and then you can go to the general population, and then they can meet with the URI cats last. So make sure that they're not going from the sick cats back into the kittens to try to keep them healthy. And then dog adoptions will have some similar changes. So the customer will come in, they'll choose a dog they'd like to meet with, and then a staff member will go ahead and bring the customer and the dog out into the yard, and they can give them more information at that time and answer questions. So just like with the cat building, it won't be until after that point they decide to adopt, then we'll have them fill out the adoption questionnaire and complete the paperwork with staff. So I'm going to go over some of the new adoption policies that we're going to have at RASK. So I'm trying to give you a quick overview of what the policies are going to look like specifically in our shelter. And then afterwards we have a special speaker, Suzanne Delonzo, who's going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about the why. So just to give you an idea of what's changing at RASK, number one, we welcome adopters who rent. We encourage adopters to learn more about the pet policies where they live. So we are no longer requiring landlord checks before adoption. Instead, we can still encourage adopters to know their pet policy, but we're going to trust them to go ahead and find that out on their own. We welcome adopters with children and allow them to make the final decision about what works best for their family. So we really want to focus on conveying objective information about each animal. So we want to let everyone know exactly what we've seen with the animal, be open and honest, but without putting our own personal opinions into it. So we will not have specific age restrictions anymore. You won't see kids 8 and up or kids 12 and up. We might have general guidelines, so some animals might do best in a quiet home, or they might do best with older children, but we'll keep it general. We want to have that conversation with the adopter and ultimately let them make the final decision about what's right for their family. We welcome adopters with pets. We will provide adopters with information on how to introduce their new pet to pets at home. So again, this is about conveying objective information. We want to let adopters know what we've seen with this animal when it comes to other animals, or maybe how they were in their previous home. But we are no longer going to require dog-to-dog introductions in our adoption, in our dog adoptions. So people are going to go ahead and be able to get more information from us. They can bring their dog in if they choose to, but it's not something that we will require. And finally, we welcome adopters who would like to give a pet as a gift. So again, Suzanne will go over this in a little more detail, but we do want to let you know that when animals need to be licensed, if we're doing a gift adoption, we're going to license it in the name of the person receiving the gift, not the person who's actually doing the adoption and giving the gift. So just an important note for foster parents, we are going to ask that you follow these policies when you're at any RASK location and at RASK events. We also really encourage you to adopt these philosophies when you're adopting from your own home as well. And a quick note on when to say no. So we will not do the adoption if the adopter has a history of animal abuse, or of course if they're drunk or high at the time of adoption. So as far as animal abuse, we've got all of those records on file. So if you're ever uncomfortable in a situation, please always feel free to refer to a staff member, and they can handle it, whether it's one of these situations or something else. Just let a staff member know if there's a certain reason that you're uncomfortable with an adoption. And then our adoption guarantee. So we are going to extend our refund policies. So it was previously 30 days and it will now be 90 days that we issue a refund. If the adopter wants to bring their animal back after 90 days, we will still accept the animal. We just won't issue the refund. But 90 days, so that's a pretty long time. And then we want to really encourage a no-fault return philosophy. So customers shouldn't be made to feel guilty after a return. In some cases, we might want to invite them to find a better match. So just keep that in mind. There's nothing, we don't want to have a negative connotation with these returns. We want to make sure that we're here as a resource for adopters. And along those lines, as far as being a resource, we're also including adoption follow-ups now with each adoption. So we're going to provide adopters with more resources. When they adopt, we're going to give them handouts, and we're going to give them all of the information they need to contact us. And then they will receive an automated email follow-up 2 weeks after the adoption and then 2 months after. So those emails will refer adopters to our website or the Adopt a Pet email for behavioral help. And then just to give you a quick overview of our new adoption colors. So this is something that's going to help adopters pick the right animal for them, just to get to know each animal's personality a little bit better. These colors are based off of the RASK logo colors. So we've got easygoing green. Those are the animals that are going to be pretty easy to handle, go with the flow, might do well in any type of family. Bashful blue will be the animals that were a little more shy when they come in. So animals that probably need a little bit of time to warm up in their new home. And then rambunctious red, that can mean a few different things. For dogs, it might might be more high energy or high arousal. For cats, it might be cats that don't like to be handled so much, or maybe they get overstimulated pretty easily. So those colors are sort of serving two purposes at the same time. So they're allowing the adopter to have more information about the animal, and they're also going to be a signal for volunteers about how to handle each animal. So we've got new behavior assessments that are going to assign those adoption colors. But it's important to remember that these colors can always change. So please keep that in mind. It would be very common, for example, that a cat would come in and be a blue cat because it's shy at first, and then within a few days it warms up and suddenly it's a green. So we need feedback from you guys about when you think those colors may have changed. And then the color will also be a signal for handling. So green will kind of be a code that the animals are easier to handle. Blue cats are going to be shy and should be approached calmly, and then red cats might be more difficult to handle and should be approached cautiously. So in dogs, dog adoptions, there will always be signs up. If for some reason you're not able to handle a certain dog, there would be a sign up letting you know if you need to go see a sergeant first or something like that. And those are more than often going to be the red dogs that have that. And finally, our adoption cards are changing. So instead of the old kennel cards that had a lot of handwriting on them, we've got new cards printed out from Chameleon, so they're really easy to read. All of the important information is up at the top, and then down below that, staff will be putting information in as they do the behavior assessment, just to give adopters a little more information about each animal. So again, if you guys have input, if you have anything you want to add to that, you can always let a staff member know, and we can just reprint their kennel card out. Right, and so with that, I know I went over some of that pretty quickly, so I'm going to hand it over to Suzanne Delonzo, who we've been working with to get this program up and running at RASK. So just to give you a little bit of information about Suzanne, she's a graduate from Clark University. She's been involved in sheltering since 1997. She spent 15 years at the Animal Welfare League of Alexandria, Virginia, in a variety of roles, including kennels, adoptions, emergency services, outreach and events, and youth programs. During her 4 years with the Humane Society of the United States, she worked with shelters and rescues of all types and regularly presented nationwide. She co-authored the Adopters Welcome Manual and developed a 5-part webinar series, as well as accompanying tools to help animal adoption agencies put the approach into action. Most recently, she's continued to work as a contractor for sheltering groups to put flexible, open adoption approaches into action. Suzanne volunteers for the Providence Animal Rescue League in Rhode Island as a foster home, and she will also be starting volunteer projects with the Society of Animal Welfare Administrators. So with that, I want to go ahead and hand it over to Suzanne, and she's got some more information about why we're changing these policies and what exactly it's going to mean for the animals.
Hi guys, thanks for joining today. And thanks for having me into RASK, even though I'm in video format. All of you are going to learn some great information here or brush up on stuff you already know. I just want to let you know how important you are as a team. Staff members, volunteers, all of you come together to help make adoptions what they can be. I want to talk a little bit about the Adopters Welcome approach. It is an approach to adoptions that sometimes gets called open adoptions. It's data-based, so it's not guesswork. And when the Adopters Welcome material was prepared, we worked with groups that were already practicing that approach. We used the combined experience that my team at the Humane Society of the United States had. That was a combination of experienced shelters and rescues, and we put the material together hopefully in a way that was going to be handy for you guys. Although it's about finding adopters, it's more than that. It's connecting with them, it's being ready to support them if they need it, because some of them may not need it. And it's going to kind of be there through not just the adoption experience, but after they adopt his pet as well. The whole thing is about finding more adopters and making that connection and supporting them. So that trio of information I may bring up a couple of times in this session. It takes into account also that the folks come to you that they already have some level of experience. Some it may be low, some it may be really high, and we can build off of that information. There's a lot of information here that can take time to digest. The teams that I've seen that have switched over to Adopters Welcome have really been able to dig in, and the ones that thrive have the members who really get it. They chew on it, they talk to each other about it. So I want to encourage you to do that. I've had teams that role play so that they get more comfortable with some of the phrasing and pitching of information to potential adopters. You can obviously go through this presentation. There is also a 5-part webinar series that is free, and there's the Adopters Welcome Manual, also free. You can access any of these things at animalsheltering.org/adopterswelcome-DIY. And don't worry about jotting that down. The cool thing is you guys have Nikki. She is part of the team. Nikki Ford gets it. She's been doing a whole lot of homework on this, and she'll be able to help you figure out if you need to head to that link, if you want to download the manual, if you want to find the webinars, she can help you there. All right, let me go here. I want to, bear with me, I'm just looking at my notes as I talk to you guys. I want to remind you guys, or perhaps introduce you to 3 terms. They're pretty critical to identifying what holds you back from feeling comfortable with full-on Adopters Welcome approach. I'm also going to bring these 3 terms up while I talk, and you might also realize that you're thinking about those terms as I present some information to you. It's nice to know these terms when they're in play. All right, back in the day when our field was young, we allowed a lot of our judgment calls to impact our policies. All of us end up affected by negativity bias, and that is a term that I'm going to share with you. It's a tendency to be influenced by negative experiences. Look at the pictures here on the screen. Oh my gosh, so many kittens. Wow, this dog, it's almost emaciated. That dog, so many fleas or such bad skin conditions and tears in the skin because the dog needed to be groomed. That cat doesn't look like a car injury, looks more like a cat was kicked. We see these things on a regular basis, and we can let them impact our judgment. Negativity bias is letting negative experiences impact your decision making more than any neutral or positive ones. That in turn impacts our decision making. It impacts our risk. Back in the day, if you imagine kind of a silly scene, thousands of years ago, when we were living in caves, back when we were Neanderthals or close to it, we would go into caves because they kept us free from the weather. We could be a little bit warmer, a little bit drier, what have you. We could store our stuff in there, and it was great. And we'd go into our caves, and everything was fine. Until the day you went in and there was a cave bear in the back, and you just barely escaped with your life. You learn from that very negative experience that before you go into a cave, you throw rocks in, you create a ruckus while you're still outside the cave and can more easily get away. And way back millions of years ago, that was a good idea. But now for adoptions, what we've realized is we still have that hard wiring that helps us see all the negative stuff first and foremost. I don't want that to cloud your judgment. And that's why I'm going to introduce you to the other terms as well and kind of put everything in picture and into kind of frame it for you. So when we started setting up some of our policies, we did it through our negativity bias. We saw too many cats coming in, too many dogs coming in, kittens, puppies especially. So we started requiring spay and neuter for all pets at home. It made sense to us at the time. We got a lot of stray animals in, so we started saying, all right, look, if you're going to adopt a dog, can't be outside unless there's a fenced yard or it's on leash. And cats, gosh, they really should be indoor only. Landlord issues. We constantly got people bringing us pets because their landlords said, no, too many, too big, wrong type, what have you. Or they were going to move into a place that said, no pets allowed. This list is a small list. It actually goes on. I only put a couple points up here. But this is what we did. We developed really rigid screening techniques that were rooted in the reasons why animals came to us in hopes that we didn't send them home to the same situations. We made really strict use of contracts to try and control what would happen to our adopted animals. And here's where it panned out. we thought this was making a difference. We thought, wow, if we make sure they're going home to perfect situations now, they should be perfect forever. Here's the bummer. We didn't have any research to validate these strategies. And we started to have some of the leaders in animal sheltering and animal welfare looking at the information they had, wondering, making it too hard to adopt? And those leaders brought up a term. It's illusion of control. It's the belief that we can control things that we really don't have power over, uncontrollable events. This one's strong when there's some emotional attachment, some need to control the outcome. I love this dog. I want to make sure everything's perfect. That's where illusion of control comes in. Now, think about things that happen in life. For example, with landlord permission, I might live in a rental location right now, and I might even have okay from my landlord written it down, and you might even be able to call them if you're one of the really strict agencies and talk to my landlord. But there are a couple of things. You can't control whether or not I have a major health issue. You can't control if I'm suddenly going to take care of other family members that are too old or get ill. What if I get married and that adds to where I live or changes where I live? What if I develop allergies? What if there's a natural disaster? What if my landlord has any of those things happen? ... Landlord permission is only right then for the moment. Now, I'm going to come back to landlord permission, but I just want to make you aware that all that stuff can happen, and we feel like if we check that information one day, we've got power forever. And that's why that term is so important to realize that that's kind of ludicrous. All right. Organizations like ASPCA and Maddie's Fund, they've been doing more and more research to see what happens when we let go of some of those controlling and restrictive policies. Turns out dogs and cats haven't been any worse off. And a lot of the research has been really surprising. For example, in the case of landlord permission, when they stopped checking landlord permission, when they stopped getting it, pets weren't any more likely to be returned when that permission wasn't gotten. So they looked at agencies that had these criteria, including something like landlord permission. They stopped doing those things, and they said, are those animals still loved? Are they still in those homes? And essentially, they also wanted to look at the return rate to shelters. But nothing significant happened by removing them. So when members of the field moved away from those traditional and restrictive approaches, there were a lot of people still holding on. And I'll kind of weave back to these 3 points. But even with this new research, we had people that essentially said, nah, I don't believe it. And there's a term for that. Confirmation bias. It's the tendency to consider stuff that confirms what we already believe, even in the face of evidence to the contrary. The effect is stronger, again, for emotionally charged issues. So those 3 terms, illusion of control, negativity bias, confirmation bias, I want to bring those up because they're going to play into some of the questions you might have about a doctor's welcome, some of how you're going to handle it there, and I just want to make sure you're comfortable with it. Now, whenever I talk about this, somehow it ends up coming back to landlord issues. So I'm going to kind of dive into that again a little bit here. I'm not saying that landlord issues aren't a problem. That's not what the data showed. We know that landlord issues are a problem. What the data is showing, what all the research is showing so far, says that we can't control it by demanding it. Nothing is different in terms of the outcome if we check for it. So we're putting steps in the way, and we feel like we need to do something, so we keep becoming landlord police. In the process, we turn off some potential adopters. So again, the study's not trying to say, not trying to claim that those issues aren't a problem for pets and the owners. Yep, we know dogs and cats still come in for that. It's finding out that trying to control the problem with that strict policy isn't improving adoption success. So we've got this policy that's not adding anything. It's making it harder for us to reach good homes. And that's why we're taking this new approach. One of those reasons why we're taking this new approach. If you want to explore more data, at the back of the Adopter's Welcome Manual, I believe it is page 76, you're going to find something called List of Research Cited. And the first 3 items on there, the list of research cited on page 76, Pets for Life, an in-depth community understanding. Pets by the Numbers and the the Veterinarians Medical Association, they have a U.S. pet ownership and demographics source book. So all of those are they're available for you to go check them out. All right, let me head to the next slide because I want to show you some stuff that kind of knocked my socks off. I need to dig around the data a little bit and help you get to some information that may make you have one of those wow moments. On the top here, I've got the AVMA's estimated number of cats and dogs living in U.S. households. The bottom, we've got HSUS's estimated number of dogs and cats entering U.S. shelter systems. And every little cat and dog symbol is representing 1 million animals. So you don't have to count. Let me click and bring up the top section. The ones that are in homes that don't need our help, that are doing okay, that's about 144 million animals. Here's the part that shocked me. The part that we're in shelters, the part that needs our help, that's only 6 to 8 million. And I'm not saying that 6 to 8 million is a horribly large number. I'm just saying, whoa, I didn't realize the gap between how many were doing okay and how many we had to help. What that means is fewer than 6% of pets that are out there overall aren't coming to us. I thought it was going to be much different. And if you take sort of your impression and compare it to data, that's one of those things that helps shake off some of that negativity bias, lets you lose your illusion of control, and also helps you get rid of that confirmation bias. I'm going to bring it up a different way in just a moment, just so you can see this data in a different format. Let me show you something else that knocked my socks off. When I saw this pie chart, one that's on the right side of the screen, I got really excited because I actually glanced at it and I said, oh, that's awesome. About 42% of dogs and cats are coming from shelters and rescues. I was psyched. I was like, that's great. Our message is getting out there. People love us. And then as I brought it over, I realized, the other side, the 58, well, that's just more. So I got a little bit bummed out, but then I started thinking of it. It's a good idea to learn about the other sources for pets and take what lessons we can on why they're more popular. Why are people getting their dogs and cats from other locations, not shelters and rescues? So according to the APPA, the American Pet Products Association, they've got a national pet owner survey. Our top 5, we're going to call them competitors, the alternate sources for pets, friends or relatives. And that may be being given as a gift. Aunt Tilly gets ill and you take in her cat. Somebody ends up moving in with you and their pet becomes your pet. You name it, friends and relatives, one of the top sources. Strays, especially for cats, a huge percentage of people get their cats, not because they set out to, but because the cat kind of showed up. And they're cute and feel guilty, so you take them in. Breeders, especially for dogs, tons of people are still getting dogs through breeders. And there are great breeders out there. There are also a lot of really stinky breeders. The ones that I would love people to stop getting from stinky breeders and come to us, wow, yeah, they're from the less desirable breeders. Private parties, that's going to be things like Craigslist, Free to Good Home. Hey, this guy at the office, his friend had a litter of puppies, do you want one? And then bred for home. That final point can be bred purposely or bred accidentally. Oops, I didn't realize she was old enough to breed. Or, I love them so much. They're the best Yorkies ever. Have more. So we went ahead and we had a litter. When I said we should look at those sources and learn from them, I don't mean that we take the negative points. I mean there's all kinds of stuff we can figure out why people turn there. What are they doing that's easier than what we do? What are they doing that makes a bigger impact? What's a better marketing tool? So I look at our competition all the time, whether or not it's the good competition, like taking an Aunt Tilly's cat, or the less desirable, like taking your dog from a puppy mill. I want to make sure that I get a handle on that so that I can learn from what they've got, not reinvent the wheel, and put into action for shelter pets. If you are a data geek, the information from the 5th site listed on the page 76 of the resource cited in Adopters Welcome is where you go. You also want to look at the 7th one. I'm sorry. The fifth one is PetSmart Charities, Pet Adoption and Spay-Neuter, Understanding Public Perceptions by the Number. You can also look at the seventh one indicated, American Pet Pride Association, the APPA. That's their National Pet Owners Survey. Number 15 on that list is also, it's a short section, why did you choose this pet? And all of those help figure out where those pets came from. All those help figure out why people do the things they do, that type of thing. All right, let's scroll down here a little bit. The other thing that I took from this, when I looked at that pie graph and said, man, I thought we were getting more of them out there than we did. What I took home from this is, say no with shelters and rescues. We're not stopping anyone from getting a pet. There's so many other sources out there. All we're doing is saying no, and then they go somewhere else. What we can do is say yes to some of the adoptions we may have been missing out on, turning down, managing them with any information we share so that we're leaving the best impression, so that if someone needs our help, we're there, or they're more excited about adopting from us because we seem more user-friendly, and we're not sacrificing anything. Those people are going to get pets anyway. We can bring them more closer to the point of being a great adopter if they're not quite there, or we may realize, wow, they're fantastic because we have better dialogue with them. So I'm all about knowing my data, figuring out where the good ideas are. Here's that chart again, but put in a different way. We had the graph with all the little dogs and cats on the top making 144 million. This is what it looks like when I put it in a pie graph. That giant chunk, that big part of the pie, they're all the pets that are doing fine in homes that don't need us. That wee little red section, they're the ones that we're getting. And here's something else to consider. Traditionally, we've been basing our policies for that little tiny section, the people who, for whatever reason, do need our help. We haven't been basing on the people that are doing a good job. So when you look at that, and now you've got more accurate information, now you can create policies that get animals into homes. So if you want to dig up some more information to help kind of get into this mindset, the section then in the research cited, number 13, which is ASPCA Pro's blog, If We Only Adopt to Perfect Pet Parents, We're Not Really Making a Difference. And also number 6, do policy-based adoptions increase the care a pet receives? And let me go ahead and talk a little bit more about all of these things, but on more personal terms. Take a moment while I'm talking and think about where you got your pets, where your friends got their pets. What kind of conditions did you get them under? Think about if you ever got a pet while you were young, or if you had rental permission, or if you just went ahead and said, let's see what she's like with the kids. They're coming over this weekend. The pictures I have up here, the woman in the top left, she is just about 18 in this picture, and she has had those dogs for quite some time. She's now in her mid-20s. Things are still going well. I believe one of these guys has passed on from old age. She's been the traditional shelter's worry for years. Oh my gosh, she's barely an adult. She just turned 18, and look at the dogs she already has, and then combine that with she lives in a place like a town, not just a rental place, a town that says 2 dogs max. And she's been making this work for years. The dog in the middle, there's an interesting thing. Those of us that have been in the sheltering field for a while only notice one thing. We notice that dog is not neutered. Get the fact. I mean, he's super cute. He's comfortable. He's clearly loved. He's allowed on the couch. We overlook all of that. All we're looking at are this poor dog's gonads. Yep. And yet he's doing okay. Just like the woman and all of those dogs, they're doing okay. This guy, he's got it made. The cat, the next picture over that's outside, that cat came into a shelter with a coworker of mine and was hard up. He was like a little piece of tissue paper that had been out in the rain all night. And they got him better. They adopted him out. He is now, when this picture was taken, he is a middle-aged cat, and he's doing fine. He gets to come in. He just also gets to go out. And there are lots of things that his owner has tried to do to keep him safe. But that woman adores this cat, and she tries to make sure everything's okay so he still is safe. Rental permission. This is not an image of someone I know, but it is a recreation of an image that I had seen in a couple of situations that I've seen and my workers had seen. It's a place that doesn't allow pets, and so it says it doesn't allow pets, and the owners with their pets are outside playing. So you have a place that says, yep, you can live here, but your pets can't. And everything around the situation says, actually everything's making it work. And that final picture, that's my friend's daughter. The first night they brought their dog home. That was a stray that was living in a rural area that they essentially knew nothing about. And that dog and that kid, there's actually another one. If you look at the little hand in the background, there's a white sleeve with a blue cuff. That dog is wedged between two little kids as they fell asleep that night. Think about all the situations that you guys had. Did you have a dog growing up? Maybe you did, and it probably worked out for most of us. Back then, we didn't do any screening if you're the average age of a shelter person today. Did you get a pet as a gift? How about as a grown-up? Think about your situations. Do you have a friend who loves her dog but hasn't gotten it neutered and loves it anyway? I just want to bring that up because, guys, for the most part, those pets are doing okay. When you're getting frustrated, look at how many of the times things do work out. The Adopters Welcome approach wants you to look at the big picture. So not just specifically for the animal that you're dealing with, but also some of the other points. So not just, let's say, that little dog in the top left corner. Let's say her name's Frida. It's not just about Frida when you're working to adopt her out. It's about all the other dogs in your care. It's about all the other cats in your care and the ones that'll be there down the road. It's about the people who are coming in to adopt, your potential adopters and your actual adopters. So if someone may come in, not find a pet they're looking for that day, and depending on how policies are set and how they're treated, they may come back or they may not come back. Your actual adopters may love the experience or they may regret it and may not come back to you. When they go home, whatever the circumstance was, they're going to share it with their family, their friends, and that top right corner, the community and pets, there's a ripple effect. Those people are going to talk. They're going to tweet. They're going to put it all over Facebook about what kind of experience it was, what their pet's like, how you helped them, or how you kind of made things okay, but they got the animal anyway. How about your agency? The little building in the lower left there. All of what you do depends on people coming in to adopt. Some agencies depend on volunteers coming in. Some agencies depend on donations coming in. Some depend on adopters coming in. All of that big picture starts hitting home. But there's also the competition. What do our policies, how do they impact the other folks out there? Now, some of them aren't going to be as impactful. People are still going to pick up stray cats, and I want them to. But if we've got great dogs and we market them, people may begin to turn away from breeders and get more of their pets from us. The reason why you look at this big picture is because that's what makes adoption a success. You don't want to just find more homes. I get it. I don't either. We want you to get more homes without risking our animals. And that's where the Adopters Welcome research is coming into play. That's why it's so critical. I'm not just saying, hey, this is a good idea. I'm saying, it's research shown. Its studies are pointing to this being the best technique to win over more adopters, get them in there, send them home, and you're more likely to have not just one adoption success, but additional homes as well. So Adopters Welcome, all these policies, they're not adding any risk. They're just opening up additional homes. And I'm going to say that because it's a really big deal. Adopters Welcome policies, they're not adding any risk. They're just opening up additional homes. Let me go on to our next slide. That new approach, that Adopters Welcome approach, is going to help the critters that you guys love. It helps the animals that you're there helping, that you're there working every day, those crazy long hours, volunteering on your off time, you name it. I know one of the things that'll change for you guys there is letting people interact with the animals without first filling out paperwork. And bear with me, this may seem a little off topic. Let's go shopping. When people go shopping, when they can touch something, wow, this is a great cup, I love it, they're more likely to buy it. It's called the endowment effect. Touching or imagining touching. Somehow the picture gets painted that you now know, wow, this is a great mug. It holds liquid. It's the right color. My hand would fit. Hey, that woman has it set just like I might set it on my desk. The endowment effect helps give people ownership over something that they could literally have ownership over. So when you go shopping, you like to touch, you like to buy. When you're online shopping, you want to figure out the details. Is this going to work right for you? Now, when you go to RASK, you touch those critters, you're more likely to adopt. True story. Worrying about germs? Yeah, they're out there, but stop worrying, because there's information that shows not only are adopters coming in and petting our kitties and scratching them really a lower risk than the people who are working to clean the cages in terms of germ transmission, but all that TLC, that tender loving care, the petting, the kind talking, it improves some behavior and immunity in cats, period, I should say. The information for that, it is Nadine Gerkow for the petting and the touch. This is not in the manual, but it is easy enough to find. And the germs, there's something called the scrub top study, and that is number 16 on that list, if you want to head into that. It basically says, wow, don't worry about the germs, because the petting, all the way from that way. So I want to give this a personal spin, because it is probably the most extreme story I can think of to help you realize, wow, petting really can help. I was at work, and I was doing a project in Missouri, and I had a meeting I needed to be at. And when I opened the door of my rental car, I heard, mew, mew, mew. And I instantly went, oh no, underage kitten. Oh, I'm not in a position that I can do something for this. I found the kitten in about 1 second, and he looked great. He was fluffy, and he was just the right kind of fat, not wormy fat. He didn't have any fleas. He didn't have any ticks. He was a he. His ears were lovely and clean, and there was no upper respiratory sign. He was great, except for I didn't know where he went, because he was too young to be strolling out on his own. So I did what the logical person would do first, and I knocked on the door. No answer. I went to the next house, knocked on the door, and woof, 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 greeted me. There were at least 2 dogs in this house. Knocked again, because that's what you do when you're holding a kitten and desperate, and the door opened. And essentially what happened is I told the woman, look, I can't take care of this right now. Here's my situation. Do you mind helping me? Here, hold this just for a moment, this fluffy, perfect little critter. And all I'm going to do is call animal control. I just needed someone to help hold him while I got everything together. Pet, pet, pet. And I filled in the gaps. I filled in the gaps of stuff that she would have been worried on, but she didn't have to be. Oh, what if he has fleas? It doesn't look like it because I'm not seeing flea dirt on his skin. What if he has? No, he doesn't. I checked. Look in here. It's nice and clear. You know, some people will hold on to kittens this small just for 3 or 4 weeks until they're big enough to really thrive in a shelter environment, and they're often adopted, but sometimes that foster really helps them out. Bottom line is, I did it. I helped eliminate all her worries by being friendly, hearing her concerns, by also making her touch this kitten. And sure, it could have been a horror nightmare story. Yeah, there are all kinds of what ifs. But when I look at what was more likely to happen, it was what happened. Great stuff happened. That woman ended up keeping the kitten and then called me for the next couple of months wondering, why did I pick her? Because her door was right there. That was why I picked her. I didn't have any secret insight. But wow, I worked to Doctor's Welcome to place a kitten in less than 5 minutes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am the cat salesman extraordinaire. All right, so that's a data thing. Let's kind of touch base on what you do when people are actually at your door. So you want to create a physical environment that's going to help conversation. Adoptions is going to increase with a number of things. And one of those things is if you can talk, if you can communicate, if it's not uncomfortable. So let's go through a couple of these. If you've got a big desk or something that's in the way or a fence, come around, get out from behind those things. Turn to face the person you're working with. So if you're working with a dog that's pulling, it might be a little barrier because it's pulling you this way, and you can't talk to the person that's there. And a great front hooking harness or head collar might help with it. Coming out from behind a desk to have one-on-one conversation makes people feel more at ease. Instead of pointing out directions, yep, the cats are over that way. Go ahead and when you can, take people there. Oh, our cats are this way. Come here, I'm going to show you some of the guys that are up for adoption. You go there, all is good. It just makes it a little more personable. It's a really great place to also start the adoption conversation. You may feel like, well, I have so much stuff to do, but you're going to be getting your information as you take them to those animals. Another point, if you can find a way to make hands-on interactions possible, remember the 5-minute kitten, sometimes it's hard to say that, make them happen, but make them happen for as long as you can. You may not need to be right with the folks the whole time, but you want to make them linger. Hey, come on in here, meet Mitzi, here's a chair, I'll be back in about 5 minutes, but I'm going to leave you with a couple of toys. Here's your leash if you just want to tool around the yard a little bit. Whatever it needs to help stretch out that experience and let them stay, great. So, oops, hold on. My slide skipped. Probably because I just clicked it. I want to make sure that you guys have, again, data on this. So one of the things that has been changing at RASK is that you're not going to be having public meet cats all suited up. No more gowns, no more gloves, and that's okay. The Scrub Top study number 16 is also going to help with that. But that you may go into that relationship with something as simple as a pen. This is my favorite cat toy. I know I'll put them in with the cats, but while I'm talking to somebody, I'll wave it around, trying to capture the cat's attention, and then I can wiggle it, and while I'm talking, I can hand it over to the adopter because they're going to understand that it's no longer a pen, it's a cat toy. And I might have real cat toys in my pocket. I may have a ball of paper that I wad up and toss in there. I might have some kitty treats. Same with the dog. I may have a squeaky toy, or I may bend over and, hey, if a stick is what's there in the yard, I may grab that stick. But I'm probably going to have at least one tennis ball or squeaky toy or something else with me. But I want to have them have that physical environment set up so that we can talk and that the animal's engaged, looking engaging as well. There are so many little details. Creating a verbal environment is one of the other big details. So you made them physically comfortable. How about what you say? When you create the verbal setting, it's really going to open things up for people to give you information that you need in order to get them home with that animal as successfully as possible, as quickly as possible. There's something called the 10-4 rule. And I want to, you will have access to a cheat sheet like this. And it's this goofy set of illustrations. Yes, I am the great stick figure artist. That can help you out. The 10-4 rule is basically when people come, anybody, any human comes in within 10 feet of you, smile, make eye contact and smile. When they get within 4 feet of you, you're going to make eye contact, you're going to smile, and you're going to say something. It might be a simple, hi, my name's Suzanne. It might be, wow, I'll help you out in just a moment. I just have to put this litter of kittens over here. Whatever it is, you're going to acknowledge them verbally. So make eye contact and smile at 10 feet, make eye contact, smile, and give a verbal acknowledgement at 4 feet. That's the 10-4 rule. It's huge. Thank them for coming in. When you get into that conversation, hey, thanks for choosing you guys as the source for their pet. If there's an estimate of how long they're going to wait, share it with them. Hey, it's a really crazy busy Saturday. Feel free to go meet our cats. I'll be right over with you. It'll probably take me 10 minutes. I'm Suzanne. The other thing that sounds a little hokey is smile a ton. So this is a recorded presentation. And when I'm in front of an audience, I make eye contact and I smile a whole lot more. It's hard for me to smile at a computer. Yeah, no eyeballs on it. But the reason why you want to smile is because there are tons and tons of things that you can find that say smiling helps you look more competent, puts people more at ease. ASPCA did a blog recently called Let's See Those Pearly Whites. It highlights a bunch of these. And why wouldn't you want to be seen as more competent? Why wouldn't you want to be seen as more approachable so that someone felt at ease asking you, so it looks like he's dirty. How do I fix that? Oh, actually, that's his coloring. Let me tell you more about it. Blah, blah, blah. Consider also how you greet on the phone and how you greet in an email. You're probably going to give your name and contact information at the start of a call in case you're disconnected. If you hear some scratch on the line, if it's a bad connection, you might have a standardized signature on all emails so that it looks the same coming from any representative. You're going to still thank them. You're going to use a thank you for having them connect with you, for having them call you or come on in with that contact. And smile again when you're on the phone. Sounds silly, but you can totally do it. You can hear when someone's smiling. All right, so look at that. Goofy, I need to click a little ahead. There's a smile when you dial. All right, what else can you use? If you're talking and trying to make people feel at ease, you're going to need more than an encouraging environment. You're going to need more than to say hi. Yeah, you've got this flexible adoption policies, and that's great. You're going to also be on the lookout for where your assumptions, your negativity bias, your confirmation bias, and your illusion of control might be holding things up or getting in your way. And along those lines, our adopters, they're still expecting to be judged when they adopt. So having a couple of phrases and tools in your conversation toolbox can really help. And I've gone ahead and Nikki has this sheet as well. It's the short version of some of the open-ended questions you can use and what you should steer clear of, and other ways to keep your conversation ready to roll. One of those things, active listening and paraphrasing. I want to actually take the time to listen to the folks that are coming to us. And if I'm not sure of something they're saying, I need to get clarity, and I can do that by repeating back what I think they're saying. Let's say an adopter comes in and says, oh yeah, I want a really smart dog. So are they looking for really high energy, high drive, really overthinking border collie? Or are they thinking, yeah, I just want a dog that already knows how to sit? Because maybe in their mind, already knowing sit means you're smart, you got it. Well, smart dogs can be lots of fun. Tell me, were you thinking, did you want a high energy dog that you're always going to be working with on training? Or somebody that's already got some manners down? And I get that clarification. I need to serve them better. Sometimes it just lets them know that you understood. Maybe they came in and told you how really active their last cat was, and you're so happy he slowed down, you don't want to go through kittenhood again. So then the next thing you might say is, wow, that was a lot of kitten. Great, you've acknowledged their feelings, and they know that you heard them. Open-ended questions are really handy. Open-ended questions are going to help you get a better picture from their responses because they don't just sum it up with a yes or no. If I ask you, do you like my scarf? You're probably going to say yes. No, there won't be a whole lot more to it. If I say, what do you think about my scarf? How do you think the scarf looks on me? Tell me what you like about my scarf. When do you think I got this scarf? They give more room because of the response that's solicited. So they give more room to get that information. You can also use a number of other phrases and things that just have a positive tone, and you end up creating a question from what you're saying. Wow, that seems really great. And it may go up at the end. One of the other things I'm going to kind of have you steer clear of, using the word why. For whatever reason, why comes out very know-it-all-y. So the other ones, how, what, tell me, and when, those seem to put people at ease. But why can seem like you know better or you're grilling for a specific answer. There are two words that we try and skip when working with adopters, if at all possible, because we realized, ooh, they can come off the wrong way to some folks. I call them trigger words. Educate and responsible are the two trigger words. If you're coming in to a different agency to adopt a cat, and you already have all that experience that you've had at RASK, wow, you're going to think, know all about cats. And if they start off the conversation by saying, let me tell you how to take care of a cat. You don't need to listen. They just said they're going to educate you. And you already have a base point. The other one is responsible. Because if you say that something is a responsible thing to do, like spay-neuter is a responsible thing to do, it implies that anything else that person does is irresponsible, that perhaps they go out stealing and thieving and pillaging small villages. So I try and skip those. Active listening, paraphrasing. Open-ended questions, except for why. Positive tones, just how you say it. Remember being a teenager? Yeah, we don't want to talk like that. And trigger words, we want to skip them. The last one here, social connectors and conversation continuers. Social connectors are just the interjections that people may use. If someone's explaining something to you, you just want to let them know that you're there, that you're actively listening. Oh, hey, really? Some of it's in the tone, because I can say, really? And it's not going to fly. But I want to say something that indicates I'm listening. And that's what those social connectors are. They're not one set type of word. It's just that active participation in the conversation. And sometimes people will say things to you, or their kids may, or another family member may, that make you stress out, that make you go, oh, this is the worst thing possible. For example, true story. My uncle was taking care of my cousin's dog. He was a very active Portuguese water dog, and he had a very short fence. And he was in his mid-70s when he got this dog, and the dog would bounce right over the fence. And when I went to Uncle Mario and I said, how's it going, Uncle Mario? He said, well, Lincoln jumps the fence. And the next thing he said, wow, but I solved it. And he solved it by taking a 10-pound bar that he welded onto a clip and clipping it onto the dog's collar. True story. Technically, he did stop the dog from jumping the fence. It wasn't what I thought was best for that dog. It was rather extreme for what to do. I'm used to more people going out on leashes, or perhaps getting a taller fence, or even a runner line, so that if you're not holding onto the leash, you can at least see as soon as the dog goes over and bring him back. So there were other options I would have taken, and instead of saying, oh, holy cow, that was the worst thing you could have ever done, I paused and I said, wow, that was really inventive. Because there was, but it gave me a moment to identify, yeah, I hear you, kind of collect myself, and move back into a more productive conversation. And no, it didn't work, it didn't. But he kept that 10-pound bar on that dog, and he did pick up on other tips about exercising the dog inside the house. When he did go out on a leash, what type of leash to use so that he wasn't pulled down, and what else to feed the dog. Because I wasn't a jerk, he listened to me in other areas where he needed to make changes in that dog's life. And when that dog finally went home to my cousin Gracie, it worked out better. So yeah, everything wasn't perfect, but I could have had him ignore all of my suggestions, or I could have made some headway with having that right demeanor. And that's what we're talking about here. That's an extreme case. All right, so let me, hold on here, and I want to take a moment also to remind you, oh, I think I did, you guys have a cheat sheet with us on, and these should be available at the adoption desks so that you can get your hands on them, but you also should have a version that you can take home if that would help you. The next slide here, we have gone through a whole lot more. Let me run through a couple of quick phrase changes and then remind you, in addition to this cheat sheet, you also have your, this is the communication toolbox cheat sheet. You have other cheat sheets that are going to be in binders at the dog and the cat desks so that you can dig into that help a little bit more. And those cheat sheets are essentially what I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about. If I was trying to talk to someone like my Uncle Mario, who has a really good working knowledge, but maybe off track a little bit, knowing other suggestions are going to help me redirect him better. So let's say you're a newbie to cats. You've grown up with your dogs forever, and here you are as a staff member or volunteer for RASK, and all of a sudden you realize, I really just don't know about cats and peeing problems. If there's someone that's asking you, those cheat sheets that are in the binder at the desks, you basically can respond to the person, wow, that is an important issue. Excuse me. Wow, that is an important issue. I want to help you solve it. I'm going to just go touch base, make sure I've got some of the latest information. I'll be right back. You'll be able to go look up a number of different issues that come up regularly with shelters and adoptions, figure out what things that they can use. So it may be an enzymatic cleaner to get rid of the smell of pee or poop. If it's a litter box issue, it may be additional toys that they can play with to relax the cat and boost their confidence. It may be where to get those items, how much they can cost, and a number of other things that are similar that can help that problem. So you go back to that adopter. It's okay to bring that sheet along, bring that binder along, and walk the person through. So it can be really hard to have a problem kitty at home that doesn't use the litter box. What you've told me indicates you're ready for another cat, but your house might not be. So if I look here, it looks like there's a really awesome product called Anti-Icky Poo and another one called Nature's Miracle. They're going to help get rid of the smell so that if you're looking at a new cat here, he's not going to want to go ahead and keep going to the bathroom on that same spot from your last cat. See what I did there? I took unknown information, went, and I cheated. All I'm doing is reviewing that information and delivering them sort of a picture of what it could look in their life. Hey, if you get a giant gallon jug of anti-icky poo for right around $30, that sounds like it's going to treat your whole house, and then you can get into this new kitty. If you have other problems, we're also here. We're always happy to talk to you. My name's Suzanne, and here's the contact information, and you can give them something with that on it. Even if they're still brewing over at that point, it just gives them somebody that's a resource and a really nice picture of what it could look like. So there are going to be tips in there for pulling, dog-to-dog interactions, and a number of other common situations that could come up. Some of them are problems, some of them are just situations. You guys can also become pros at all this. Nikki has a go-to reference links sheet. So if you know a little bit about, let's say, dogs pulling on a leash, but you want to know more, she's going to have some sites that you can go to online at your own time and just kind of check out what you need to know to bolster your information. I'm going to scan my notes and see what else I have on this. And I want to give you a couple more scenarios before we hop off here. If you are looking for more information about how having that right information can help you support the adopters, number 8 in the list of research cited, characteristics of shelter relinquished animals and their owners compared with animals and their owners in U.S. pet owning households. That's number 8. Number 9, risk factors for relinquishment of dogs to an animal shelter. Number 10, reasons for relinquishment of companion animals in U.S. animal shelters, selected health and personal issues. Those 3 are going to help you kind of see a little bit more of the details of the critters coming into you. Word of advice, I want to bring it back to where we started. Don't let that negativity bias get in your way as you read some of the data. Remember how many pets succeed in the homes? The point of getting a better handle on why they come in is so that you are more armed to help people not have those problems. It's in the way that you handle the conversations. So back in the good old days, a lot of shelters would look at an animal. Let's take a really active terrier mix dog. Say it's a Jack Russell mix, and it's got a double battery pack. And I come in, and you can see that I have a little bit of trouble walking. Maybe I don't walk smoothly. Maybe I'm a senior and I'm just stiff. Whatever the reason, I come up to you and I say, "Oh, Sparky is the most beautiful dog I've ever seen. I want to meet him. I'm thinking I want to adopt him." Typically, we used to tell adopters, "Yeah, no, he's really active. That's not going to work for you," or some variation. Instead of making that judgment call that I haven't the ability to work with this speedy little dog, let's find out more of what I do know. Let's find out how to get to yes. So let's start with that as the initial move we make. Great, Sparky's fantastic. He's a real goofball. I'm going to start with something positive. And sometimes it might be fluffy. It might be about his looks. Oh, he is the most handsome dog we've got. You know, there is no way to actually tell if Sparky is the most handsome creature on the planet, but go with it. I want to start off on a positive thing because what if Sparky's one of my most destructive dogs when he's bored? And what if I know he pulls on leash? And what if I know he barks his full head off at every other dog and chases squirrels? That's okay. I'm going to relay all that information. I'm not hiding it. I am just taking what I start off with as a positive, and I'm going to work those facts in a positive way. I'll be back in just a moment. Go ahead and get comfortable. It might take me 2 or 3 minutes. There's a chair, but this is going to be the area where we're meeting with Sparky. I'm going to put him on a leash and bring him out to meet you. I go, I get Sparky, I come on out. If I know he pulls, the first thing I might want to do is put him on a front hooking harness, or if we have them, a head collar. Because then the person looking to adopt is right off the bat saying, that's an easier way to work with that dog. They don't see him towing someone down the street, but I can relay that information of, here's Sparky, we've got him on this great front hooking harness because it makes a walk with him a whole lot more fun. He pulls a lot on a regular collar, but you can see how easy he is to walk on this harness. And all of a sudden, I've suggested to the potential adopter good things about him. Wow, he's already used to the harness. Wow, there's a way to walk him, and I want to walk him. Wow, sounds like he could pull more, but isn't. That might be the dog for me. As I interact with this adopter, I may end up having, again, those toys, a squeaky ball in my hand or something like that. I might have treats in my pocket. And then I put Sparky on his best behavior by doing something very simple. I may just be dropping treats, very small bits, while I talk to this person. He has been here for 2 weeks, and he's a hoot. All of his medical stuff checks out really nicely. And we always let adopters know that we'll give them to that in a small form just so that they can bring it to their doctor, to their vet, and they know what to do next. What I wanted to share is what some of our adopters have done with other dogs like Sparky. I want to find out first, tell me, have you hung out with other terriers? And that may have been a yes-no question there, sorry, but it's just a way to start the conversation. Get that answer. Tell me, what kind of things were you looking to do with Sparky? Boom. All of a sudden, I want to figure out, are you looking for the crazy maniac? Because maybe secretly, this person that's come to you that doesn't have the easiest time walking is also really skilled at canine nose work. Or they've done a ton of clowning around with agility inside their house where pulling doesn't matter. And if they've got that in their background, don't discount that. You want to put it into action. Maybe they've done it formally. Most people know. Many people will have done it informally. Yeah, I really haven't had too much work with terriers, but I babysit my friend Shepherd all the time. Oh my gosh, she's a handful. She pulls. We put this thing on her, hooks up in the front, and she doesn't pull. Bam. Now you know more about this person. They've dealt with a crazy big dog the way they are, and it works. So what you're trying to do is engage that adopter, suggest things. You know, a lot of our adopters find that around here with all the rain, exercising a really active dog can take a toll on them. And so many have had success with bringing it inside. Tell me some of the things you had in mind for exercising Sparky. Let me know if you've got ideas about how to have rainy day fun inside. Let me share with you, oh my gosh, top ideas. This one adopter doesn't feed out of a bowl. He takes the dog's dinner twice a day, so breakfast and dinner, and he throws one piece of kibble to the left, waits for the dog to get it, and throws a piece of kibble to the right, waits for the dog to get it. Takes like 45 minutes of running around in this man's living room, and the dog's exhausted. It's fantastic. That dog is tired for the next few hours, and it's really a great bonding experience. Does that sound like something that you'd like to do with Sparky? So I've created that leeway to have them give their response, ask their questions. I always want to be frank. If I know that Sparky's not great on leash with other dogs, hey, what we've seen here is Sparky can be pretty reactive, meaning he barks, he jumps, he spins when there are other dogs behind cage bars, behind the fences, or on a leash. I know that there are lots of different ways that people deal with that. Tell me something that you had in mind that would make that work in your life. And sometimes it's just a matter of, hey, you know, we've got another dog that looks just like Sparky. Let's hang out with him for a little bit. Just for cheap thrills, if you've got the time, I'm going to bring out Fritz. They look the same, but man, Fritz is a couch potato, and he's my personal favorite. So I'm okay also letting people know, you like this one, but I've got another one that looks the same, but acts differently. Then I'm okay if you try. Again, you're just opening up that information and saying, hey, potential adopter, what are you looking for? hey, potential adopter, he's got this problem. That doesn't have to be a problem, but might be something you don't want to deal with. A lot of these phrases, a lot of this setting up things for success shouldn't take more time. It's just getting used to it. If you've got questions, that's why I have Nikki's information up here in her picture. Some of you may know who Nikki is. Some of you may be newbies and you can't remember who everyone is. Some of you may be working at off-site locations, and it just helps. Nikki's there to help you figure out what you need to put this stuff in action. So hopefully I've helped you get a better picture of what you're doing. See how Adopters Welcome can help you get rid of any of your illusions of control, confirmation biases, and negativity biases, and open up adoptions so that you're finding, engaging, and supporting the folks who need it, and getting more of those animals to the same good homes, just more of them. So I think that is everything from me. Let me double check here. You guys are awesome. Thanks for all you do, and good luck with Adopters Welcome.